What's going on? It's Justeeni here. I'm going to show you guys a new fancy schmancy spicy way to play Xin-Xi that you should try sometime. I don't know. A disclaimer, don't do this on all your games. It's highly situational, but it's funny nonetheless, so it's good content. But yeah, let's get right into things. So what's the funny strat? You'll figure it out pretty quickly. So it's not the funny strat right now. I have to go hunting because my C2 has absolutely nothing. I delay cap for forestry. I'm going to go pretty chop heavy, mostly so then I'm not too slow in developing, and Xin-Xi can always get away with the heavy chop strats. That's not like the funny strategy either. This is just kind of sensible Xin-Xi stuff. Like, all this is quite normal so far. And again, you guys will know exactly when the funny strat happens. I won't even need to say anything. So again, things proceed as normal. I go smithery, standard stuff. Nothing to see here. Go for the explore, see what's going on. I'm gonna be showing you guys a couple games. Both the opponents in this game, they're random opponents, but they're quite high elo. I think both of them above 1700, so I'm not like trying to show weak opponents because I want to show that this strategy is kind of legit. What's the strategy? That's not a misclick, by the way. Parks. Why parks? So the idea here is that there's a few things you want with Xin and a few things you don't want. You want giants, but you don't really need a ton of giants because you can get a lot of giants anyway. The point of the parks is that what you also need with Xin-Xi is a lot of stars. Now, trade seems like the obvious option, but you usually need to get forestry at some point. And so it not only takes a while to get markets, but your markets tend to be worse as well. They're just not as good as like other tribes because you're relying on forges. If you want to rely on forges and catapults, or sorry, sawmills, it's good, but it's really slow. So why not get parks? Those also improve your eco, and it does it a lot faster because, you know, you usually get a ton of early giants, and then once the opponent gets ranged units and counter those, then your giants are kind of useless, and you wish you had eco instead. So let's just grab eco. The opponent's prepared for me to get giants because, you know, they know how to play against Xin-Xi. And yeah, huge disclaimer with the strategy though, do not ever do this on small maps. And also, even on normal maps, this is highly situational. I played a ton of Xin-Xi games, and there are only a handful of games that I could actually justify doing this strategy, but I felt like it's something to consider. It's a tool in your tool belt. This is not a do this every time with Xin-Xi and you'll win all the time. I'll probably clickbait the video like that because it's funny, but like, no, you don't want to do this every single game. There will be situations when it works, and situations when it doesn't. Use your best judgment, yada yada. But again, it's just an option that exists that I feel like people don't talk about ever because it's a weird choice. But as Xin-Xi, it makes sense because like too many giants is just overkill. I get a nice border growth in the top here. The opponent goes for a very interesting construction rush. I'm not sure why they did that, but that's what they did. I go riding. I'm ready to go roads. Again, Xin-Xi needs a lot of techs. But unless you're going Philo, it's kind of hard to get those techs. I get a second park. Again, this giant's taking 20 light years to reach the action, so let's get a park. Fuel our economy. That can actually help our front line more than a giant. And I've got swords to help defend. I go for fishing, get some connections. Now I get my first giant on turn 11. So a bit on the slow side, but it's actually going to help in the front line when it's relevant. If I don't need a giant, I'm not going to get it, but now I do need a giant. And at this point, my economy is it's just amazing. My tech prices are awesome because my economy is a good amount of it's coming from the parks. Not like a ton of economy, but it helps with that tech efficiency. And now the opponent at this point decides to resign, which is a shame. There's still a game to be played, but I do prefer my position because I'm going to likely have a city advantage and have cheaper techs. And eventually I can get markets of my own anyway. And even if my markets aren't as good, I have parks to make up for it. So yeah, I wish the game could have gone on further, but it does make sense that the opponent resigns because this position doesn't look great. But let's go ahead and cut to the next game. Alright, so this time against Hoderick. And normally, Hoodrick is the worst matchup possible for Xin-Xi, because they have everything. They have better markets, so they beat you in the late game. They have ranged units on turn 0, and they love going into catapults, so your giants are useless unless you have naval advantage. But even then, they're not that useful because they can defend against your giants if you try to attack with them. And then you'll lose in the late game anyway. So maybe you guys can see where the Spark strategy is kind of cooking. Again, you don't always want to use it. Like against Omaji, for example, it's a terrible idea. But in this matchup, it's actually a pretty good idea. And I have beautiful smithery spots. Normally that would translate into giants, which would be pretty slow. I go for the lighthouse. I did some calculating with this. This was a 24-hour game, so yeah. I decided to go like this, get the quick upgrade. And again, normally like this quick upgrade gets quicker giants, but it actually instead gets me a faster eco. You guys see what I'm cooking here? I actually skipped the village for the ruin and get a star ruin, of course. So now on turn 7. Yes, turn 7. I get 1 park. 2 parks. 3 parks. 3 giants on turn 7 is amazing, but against Hoodrick it actually isn't. But 3 parks against Hoodrick on turn 7, now that is something. 20 star per turn with 3 cities. Now the star run helped a lot, so I probably would have gotten this on turn 8 instead. And, I mean, I have really good forge spots, but oh my goodness. Hallelujah. What is Hoodrick going to do about this? They're going to lose the late game because I'm getting like quick markets. Like my mid game is just going to be insane. I don't need giants. Again, I'm against Hoodrick. And also in this case, I happen to have really good markets. This one I'm mostly showing because this is just kind of disgusting. And also it still shows off the whole park strat thing. Like, oh my goodness. I meet the opponent, grab the lighthouse, and classic Hoodrick being pretty slow to expand. Turn 10 markets with the triple park. 43 star per turn with just 5 cities. And now I go for a port connection on capital. Now I'm getting my first giants on turn 11. So after my markets, I'm going to use that giant to help in the water, but also I can easily afford aquatism and stuff like that, and all the other techs I need. I go and attack here, use swords to support. Get ramming. They have a cloak, which they put on the starfish, which I don't know why they did that. That's a really terrible play. Because I wanted to go on the starfish, so I just met it by accident. They resign on the spot. And what the heck? I mean, maybe I didn't need parks to win this anyway, but again, the reason why I go parks is because it took me a while to get these ports. If I just made giants, they would have been sitting there for like forever, and I might have even got my markets later. The start would have been a little less explosive. So parks, they did something. And again, like I mentioned before, do not do this in all your games, but there are situations you want to at least consider it. Maybe you go parks, and sometimes it'll pay off. Maybe you can flip a bad matchup completely around. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Funny park spam. Actually legit, question mark, question mark, question mark. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Like and sub, and have a good one.